Ahoy, bold leaders. How to actually connect with our higher self. So there are a lot of different techniques that you can use, and probably you've tested a few of them. But today I'm going to share with you a story how I connected with my higher self, why this process was important, and then we're going to move forward to how this process that I experienced can help you do the same. For those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Betty Godwald, your AI captain, inviting you for the exploration on how to include artificial intelligence, which is the cutting edge technology of the 21st century, into the reality and spirituality. So I experienced connection with my higher self a few times, and the first one was when I was trying to connect with the future version of myself. And to be honest, now I see a huge difference between my future self and my higher self. The truth is, it is related to our mind and how our mind processes information. When we work with our imagination, because basically we tap into imagination when we try to visualize something, especially when we meet our future self in the mirror, okay? So this is the way you perceive yourself, or you would perceive yourself if you had those results. So how would you feel if you manifested $10 million? And your first idea or answer could be relieved, excited, or empowered, or something like that. And as the following emotion from this, your brain is going to create a stream of connections, and it will tell you, okay, so if you want to feel empowered, for example, you want to feel empowered, then you will look like this. And if you look like this, you behave that certain way. So I'm going to tell you also what was the result for me. When I imagined myself, my future self, it was the vision of someone who is bold, who is daring, who claims her right in the membership of the experts in a kind of super league of experts, who is guiding people to get more online clients. And the truth is, when I started tapping into this frequency, I noticed that I got more like bold in my communication. I was more confident. And at the same time, I changed my style when it comes to my clothes. So I was wearing predominantly dark colors, which was related to how I felt about myself in this particular role. Because when you think about how would I feel if I something, in most cases, connected to the feelings, we have the visions, the vibrations, the imagination, the sounds that we connect with it, the songs. Uh, it depends on your preferred style. So you can see visions, you can hear, and it has nothing to do now with clairsentience, clairvoyance, or anything of that sort. It has everything to do with our brains, okay? You don't have to have psychic abilities to have this, okay, to experience this. All you have to do is just think, okay, I prefer visual thinking, or I prefer listening, or I prefer taste, I prefer smell. And depending on the dominant sensory experience that you want to have and have in your life, this one is going to produce you the sensation, and it will influence this imagination. That's just a side note, okay? Going back to the situation. So this was the future self, and I was somehow connected to this vision, and I would believe that this is going to be my future self, my higher self. And I put the equal sign between those two versions because, to be very honest with you, the future self was easily accessible for me, but the higher self was not. It was not that it like clicked and one day I had access to my higher self. The truth is, when I was meditating lately, many, many times, many hours, so it was not that, yeah, it worked, yeah, just one moment I sat down and yes, I have connection with my higher self. Tick, done, next. I was intentionally meditating and giving myself the right to spend time with myself because I'm absolutely aware that when we spend time with ourselves, this produces better results. So when I was meditating lately, how would I feel? What would it be? I heard the voice somewhere back in my head, and the truth is, my strongest sense is my hearing, and the second one is my smell. So for example, I hear and I smell when I imagine, when I think. Of course, I can create the visions, but it was not my first reaction, first dominant reaction when it comes to developing the psychic abilities. So thinking about it, I heard a voice in my head, like, but inside the head. And this person was totally different than the one that I imagined myself. So I imagined myself a bold, strong woman who was daring, who was, dominant, like, wearing the leather jacket, because this was the imagination that I had accessible for me because I was that person in the past. Strong, bold, daring. And I believe that she would probably get what I wanted to get. So the voice that I heard was gentle, was warm, but still I heard it was kind of my voice, like weird. And the truth is, when we connect to our higher self, we start to feel and say that, oh, okay, so it's a little bit different. So connecting to the higher self in this case was like feeling and seeing that she's kind, she's gentle, she's good. And the truth is, we are already who we should be to get what we want. And we have all the abilities, all the frequencies that we desire to have. All we need to do is to express it on daily basis, on regular basis. Nothing that I imagined previously was connected to this vision or to this experience that I had, because this person is more in the archetype of a mother, okay? Someone who is kind, supportive, someone who is grounded, someone who is self-confident. And the truth is, those emotions didn't come from, crushing the monetary goals, although she told me how much she makes now, like, but really? And the truth is, when I started putting all the things together, it all started making sense. Because when I was thinking about people who I have in my circle, who I magnetize and who I want to work with and who work with me, like I'm speaking about my clients and I'm also speaking about my mentors, my coaches. I like working with people who are gentle, who are kind, who are supportive. And I'm not saying that I didn't work with coaches who were cold and harsh. I'm just saying that my preference, my personal preference is when someone is giving me support instead of, bashing me on my head. The next step that I could do, or I actually did, was to solidify this connection with my higher self with the vision that DALL-E 3 was supposed to create for me. And don't get me wrong, I'm really good at making AI pictures. So this is one of the things I feel like very, very strong and confident when it comes to, the skills. But when I was prompting DALL-E to create this vision, nothing worked, okay? Like, no, it's not that. I didn't see that. Like, it's not that. And I felt this kind of dissonance between what I wanted to see and what DALL-E produced for me. And it was so frustrating that after 5 attempts, I was thinking like, but it's not that. I want to see that. And I heard the voice again, but you already have it in you. You don't need that. And this voice was so calm and so gentle, yet so, confident, that I decided, okay, maybe this is true that I don't need that. But another element of that is that my higher self, who is guiding me in this timeline, actually achieved the things that I wanted to achieve. And when I was thinking about our discussion, I have her accessible. So I can ask her. She's me, and I am her. So this kind of connection allows us to remove the tension and the desire to make it perfect, to make it work, to feel it now, to see it now. So some of you might need or might want to use DALL-E 3 or anything else like Midjourney, C-Art, whatever, to create this vision. But the truth is, you do not need it. It is not something that you do really need to have. However, there are a few things that we need to do to prepare ourselves to connect with our higher self and to solidify this connection. So first things first, how to build connection with your higher self. How I did it, and this is the process I'm sharing with you. So the first thing is take time to be alone. You have the right to be alone. You can be with yourself, and it is safe to be with yourself. As long as we feel that we are not safe to be by ourselves, alone, in a quiet room, surrounded by just silence or the ticking clock, and hearing our voices in the head, like, oh my gosh, I need to do the laundry, or oh, hi, it's me, like some separate being. It doesn't matter what are the voices in your head, but the most important thing is if you allow yourself to spend time with yourself alone, you start allowing also to hear and feel and sense things more frequently and more openly. When I started tapping into the now moment and experiencing now, the memories started flourishing because I gave them the time to recreate. Because every single time, when we recall the memory, we recreate it from scratch. I think I'm going to do my next video about that because it's fascinating. The next thing is we need to allow the thoughts to flow. Because when we block the thoughts, then we're going to experience something like, okay, you don't want to hear me, I'm speaking nothing. Or, for example, we are going to be misled and thinking that, okay, I'm not receiving the support that I want to have, so I shut down this part. Sometimes we hear the voices of our inner critic, like, for example, but it's stupid, but you're not good enough, but you this, you do that. But when we go through the inner critic and we acknowledge that, okay, maybe this is true, even though this is true, I choose to feel safe. I choose to feel worthy. Because the truth is, when it comes to our feelings, we can choose our feelings. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying that this is a choice. Then the most important part is we need to connect on how we feel and how we want to feel. So, for example, I felt today totally, how to call it, totally out of control. Like I felt as if everything was falling apart. I felt as if I had nothing under my control. And it was absolutely uncomfortable for me because I'm the type of person who always wants to have control or always wanted to have control. And when there are situations that are out of my control, like, for example, the other human being who is 3.5 years old and she has a vivid temper, just like her mom did and sometimes does. This makes me feel frustrated. So I felt this feeling like, oh, I'm so frustrated with that, like, argh. But the truth is, when you see how your kiddo destroyed the decorations on the cake, in that perfect moment, that single moment, we have the choice. So the first option is, no, go away. You destroyed the cake. But the truth is, when we allow ourselves to catch the perspective and ask ourselves, like I did today, like, okay, is it really important? Will this cake be important in 5 days, weeks, months? No. Is this cake perfect because we did it together and we had fun? We made this cake and we created something out of nothing, and it's so cool. Yes. So instead of going into the rage mode, like, I allowed ourselves to have fun. And from the perspective, I feel how it influenced my ability to connect with my higher self. Because look, our higher self expects us to behave in a certain way. Our higher self knows us best because it is an emanation. We are the emanation of the soul, the connection that we have with the higher self. So when we start thinking about that, when we start thinking about, okay, who am I actually? Who is the person standing here? What are her reactions? What are her natural reactions? What are the natural reactions of the person that I want to become? Then we start making different choices. And those choices determine how we show up and how we allow things to happen. So I challenged myself to ask, how do I want to feel for a week or week and a half, instead of asking, how do I feel? Because I can feel in zillions of ways. And I can acknowledge that. But when you start transmuting your energies and changing those energies and allowing yourself to feel different, then you start to grow. And this growth is expressed in building stronger connection with your higher self. And then when it comes to building this kind of multisensory experience, we need to allow ourselves to feel everything using all of our senses. And the truth is, in some situations, it is hard to challenge ourselves to feel, to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, and include all of those sensations in one experience. And it's hard for us to see everything and to experience everything, the guidance and ourselves and everything at the same time, because a lot is happening when we are manifesting in our brains. And this is why we get to take time to allow ourselves to go through this process. So instead of saying, if I hit my income goal, I will feel this way. And this is important because I want to have this now. We get to allow ourselves to go through this whole process, allowing it to really expand, to flourish inside ourselves, so that we really can tap into the frequencies that are connected to our true desire, true, real desire, that maybe is not related only to the monetary goal. And this is why I invite you to join me in the Alchemy Masterclass, which is going to be, linked in the description below. Because during this masterclass, we are going to go very deep into our subconscious, and we are going to do the reprogramming so that we can tap into the frequency of our higher self. We can build this connection, we can feel everything, and we can have those two conflicting realities seen by our brain, so that we subconsciously make better decisions. And to be very honest with you, before I tapped into this process, before I started using this process, this exact process I'm going to teach you in this masterclass on the snow moon, I felt as if I was falling apart. I felt that nothing was going into the direction I wanted to go. And I was sabotaging everything. And there were the days when I felt like, I know what I should do, but I'm doing nothing. Or I know what I should do, but I don't feel empowered to do that. Sitting in the room when my kiddo was asleep and crying with real tears because I felt as if someone took power out of my hands, and I didn't know what to do about that. And when I started asking myself, what are the consequences? I could see clear consequences when it comes to the not doing the things, but I didn't know if I'm really capable to do something else, because there are the moments when you feel that everything goes in the wrong direction. And seeing those two conflicting realities, the one what I really want and the one that I really didn't want, with my full sensory experience and building the full sensory experience around it, allowed me to discover the calm and the joy that I really wanted to feel, and to expand the possibilities that now I'm sharing with you. It allowed me to be a better mom. It allowed me to buy the house. It allowed me to get clients again. It allowed me to unlock relationships with others, even though I knew it feels super scary. Because once we have those two realities in our brain, the choices that we make are not made in the reflection of I would like that or wouldn't like that. You don't need to debate in your mind, because your subconscious mind tells you exactly what to do, because your mind sees why you want to achieve that. So if you want to join me on this amazing journey, click the link below. It's the early bird price. So, you get to hurry if you want to catch the amazing prize, and see you soon.